Okay, I believe we are good to start. So I was waiting, until at least 2:01 to give space to all the participants to join. I think we'll be still, seeing a number of you joining. So once again, a very good afternoon or even very good morning, evening to anyone who found the time to join us today. I know that all of you are facing quite turbulent times, of the year, right before the season greetings to still somehow put together all the last minute budgets for next year, all the strategy parts, of the company to put in place. So we really appreciate your time. And our intention for this session, obviously, to make it to the point, to really bring you a value, and together with all our valuable speakers, to inspire you probably with some of the new ideas that you can put in place in 2024. So welcome to our next Mobility Community online event, which today will handle the topic around insurance and especially the importance of the partnership. Our intention is a bit more, to have a look and have a closer look on how important is building the future together around mobility ecosystem, and what role probably even insurance companies might have even in the future. Because we see, obviously the impact right now for many of other players that are part of the ecosystem and how they are interfering with the existing game or state of the play as was happening until now. Shortly, before we start about mobility community, as many of you might know, this is a place for all the executives handling the mobility topic and mobility ecosystem in their financial services organization. At the same time, we try to engage all the institutions who are active players and important partners or counterparts around mobility ecosystem. So more than happy to have you all engaged. This place is open, it's online, it's through online events, through valuable content that we publish together with our valuable and very valued partner CVA, because this is what we decided approximately half a year ago, to launch something meaningful, something regular, and something which can bring up-to-date information on what's really happening around mobility space. And mainly to give you a platform where you can exchange best practices among peers, because this is exactly what each and every community is about. So generally, the communities, what we organize in Chorus, they exist already for a couple of years, and it's not just about mobility. So if some of you are, eager to be interested or are interested, about what's happening around SME banking, sustainability regulation, or insurance, more than happy to welcome you. And most of our members really appreciate the way how we are able to bring always the value with our partners and all the valuable speakers we have for the events. Not going to spend much details on this. We are part of the online session, which is quite easy to be connected to, but at the same time easy to interrupt. So we kindly ask you to stay silent. Be still have your camera off if you're not speaking. But at the same time, this is an interactive session, so please expect that we'll be launching a couple of the Slido poll questions where we would be really interested to have your insights and your views. If you have a comment to share or something interesting that you would like to contribute to discussion, feel free to raise a hand. This is your place and your community to contribute. We'll be really happy to have your opinion, your insights, or directly asking the question to one of the speakers. Use the chat button where you can directly ask the question, which we will definitely handle either after each of the speaker or during the session itself until the very end. And I guess that's about that. Q&A questions is as well available, but yeah. So a couple of the housekeeping rules before meeting our speakers for today. And I'm very excited actually to share that we have two fantastic insurance leaders who accepted, our invitation to join us. So we have Anna Klarving representing CHAP. That's going to be a really exciting story of how one of the global insurance leader is considering partnership among their key to drive the future in mobility, and as well about a couple of their probably new ideas and offerings which they are considering in around mobility space. Same for Nikki Richmond from Churchill, UK, another very significant player, especially in the UK marketplace. And we look forward to all the insights that both of the ladies are going to share. And obviously our great partners, Marcus and Patrick from CVA. As I mentioned in the very beginning, each of the topic, each of the story, and each of the expertise we are putting together is mainly due to the collaboration we have with CVA. So that's shortly to introduce. Now, I'm not the expert here for the topic, but Marcus is. And that's why I would like to hand over to him to give you a bit more, the reasons why we decided to handle this online session around this topic, and what are the key trends, challenges, questions, topics, best practices we see happening in the market. Marcus, over to you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Lukas, and I hope I can live up to the promises you've been making to the audience. So I tried to pull up my PowerPoint, which is always a bit of a gamble whether this works. So it should be coming up now. Is it there now?
Yes, we can see it well.
Okay, so I'm putting this into full mode. So that should now be actually good. Is that good? Can you see it? Hello?
Yes, very well.
Okay, good, thanks. So basically it's titled Paradigm Shift for Motor Insurance Corporations with OEMs, but this is just one of the topics which actually tells a story about how insurance is more and more integrated into the ecosystem. Now it can be with OEMs, it can also be with a number of other players, and I think this is a bit the basic statement of what I would like to present. So basically coming to the first slide here. So this actually is a product of work we've done with an insurer already some time ago, actually. And this is what we've come to lovingly call the sandwich, because it shows a bit the evolution of where insurance activity and margin is going to you. So you see the x-axis is time. And basically what you see is that obviously insurance comes from direct and agent distribution historically. And what we see is that there's going to be an evolution in the mid long term and then an evolution in the very long term. And they're not going to be the same. And without going into all of the details, because we don't have the time, basically what is happening is obviously digitization, which is impacting the OEMs and the dealers, but then also the insurers, because they need to sell together with the context element, which is mobility and the car. There are obviously OEM value strategies, the OEMs who want to get increasingly a part of the action. There's an evolution towards autonomous and ADAS, which changes actually the risk profile of mobility. And there's also fleetization, the evolution towards more and more fleet, which actually will have a significant impact in the future. So you see, this means that basically, if you're in the insurance business, you will be in a bit of a roller coaster for some time to come. And basically, the impact of all of those evolution on the insurance value chain, they're quite a bit. I won't go into all of the details. Obviously, there's a strong impact on the products in terms of usage of data, also in terms of mini premiums, because if you talk about mobility, you less and less talk about chunks of cars, but you talk about actually using mobility for some time, with obviously also a lot of innovative features. There's also going to be a huge impact on sales and distribution, because insurance products are not only sold or less and less sold probably via agents, but they're going to be sold via online point of sales, potentially in the car, or policies could actually be embedded in mobility offers. In terms of pricing, the possibility of having no quote processes, also premiums based on driving data. In terms of business, in terms of balance sheet, and in terms of risk, increasingly a decoupling between the underwriter and the balance sheet carrier. In terms of policy management, more and more embeddedness of the mobility fee and also real-time elements. And finally, in terms of the claim processes, automation, enhanced fraud detection, and so on. So basically, you see all of these are topics of which each has quite a bit of disruptive potential and which are going to happen in the future, which are actually already happening. And you just see what insurers are doing. So we have put some examples. And again, I mean, this is not complete, but some of the interesting things happening are cooperations with OEMs. You see it's a bit in an orange color, so we're going to talk about it a bit more afterwards. One example is Crédit Agricole insurance with Renault. You have positioning as an MGA, which is Daimler with Swiss Re and Movings. You have Allianz partnering with a distributor, Heycar. Actually, they've invested in this player, new insurance products, new technology partnerships, or for instance, Roadzen. And then you have not only a reinforcement of the insurance business, but you also have going beyond the insurance value chain, going actually into mobility. So you have Unipol that is actually organizing rental. You have Hook Coburg, very interesting German player that has bought Pitstop, which is an independent aftermarket player, equally in Germany. You have GM engaging in second life batteries and recycling. There are increasing uses of web fleet solutions in order to manage B2B players, potentially also B2C. And there's also monetization of the data that an insurer collects with third parties, as Allstate is showing with Arity in the US. So you see a lot of things happening, not only in the value chain, but also beyond it. And one of the interesting topics I'd like to deep dive a bit into is the usage-based insurance corporations with OEMs, which obviously makes sense because OEMs do have the data that can then be used for the scoring. We have here opportunity description, which is pay how you drive and as you drive, which can leverage that data. A rationale, obviously, for the insurer, because the insurer with the OEM can access the customer. The insurer can support the OEM beyond the insurance itself, and obviously also preempt that the OEM himself squeezes out insurance players. Obviously, this requires some sort of value chain to produce this. 3 examples of Stellantis, AXA, Renault, Crédit Agricole, and also GM in the United States. So globally, this comes from, and I won't remain on this page for a long time, for obviously increasing connectedness of cars. And you see here some of the numbers, which may be true or not, but one thing is sure that the increase will be tremendous in the coming years, with also data that is going to be increasingly rich and increasingly known and structured a long time. And obviously, UBI increases the case of insurance for the OEM in terms of accessing value pools with more adapted products, boosting new car and innovative features. And this is very interesting because if you have control of the insurance, you can also have synergies with the sales of ADAS and new features. And this is obviously in terms of selling a car, very interesting. You can better capture the after sales traffic. You can also support mobility because you don't need to have the customer fill in 10 pages of paper before letting you drive off with an insurance. And finally, you can monetize the data. So interesting for the OEM. And the question, of course, is now, if you work with an OEM, what kind of value chains you can have. And I won't go into detail here, but you have basically here the insurance value chain. And you can have, as an OEM, a very light positioning here, which is just an acquisition, which means the insurer does everything. So basically, that is a bit where we come from. And then actually, the OEM is increasingly taking additional steps in the insurance value chain down to becoming an insurer. And the question is how, as an insurer, you can work together with an OEM, knowing that an OEM may consider going to insurance, but may not consider this as the preferred option because it applies a balance sheet and so on. So basically, this is what we say here. As an insurer, and these are my final sentences, as an insurer, you need to understand the entire ecosystem. Insurance is not enough anymore, and you need to see how you can specifically work with those players in the ecosystem. Back to Lukas.
Thank you very much, Markus. Great insights, as usual, to spice up, let's say, the discussion in the beginning and really set the tone of what we are expecting right now, happening across the world on building the partnership and how important it is, especially for insurance. So we would like to right now, engage all of you that are online with us for the session. We have the first slide of question prepared for you. So it will appear, directly in front of your screen. You can find the slide section among the settings on top of your screen if you have Teams on the full screen of your computer. And the question which we want to ask you has obviously only one choice, or one single choice option that you have to choose from the statements below. The question which we are trying, to understand your view is that we see right now that auto insurance is particularly tightly integrated into the automotive ecosystem. And we are wondering how far have many of the organizations working in the insurance sector progressed in the fully leveraging the ecosystem right now. So whether we talk about data for scoring, synergies with OEMs, dealers, or even the whole, claim process, and so on and so on. So we have in front of you, you might see 5 options. So please pick one which the best probably describe your feeling, or one of the statement that you believe is at the moment the state of the industry. Just to read it, loudly for all of you between the time, we use, that all of you can pick one of the option. The first one, industry is only at the beginning, starting to learn about auto verticalization. Second option, some have started to be good. Overall industry progress is still quite slow. The third option, clear auto insurance champions already exist in the market, but there is now a large middle field. Fourth option, industry as a whole has made a step change, even in some are left out. And that might be, happening still more and more often. And the last one, industry is fully and completely engaged in auto verticalization. So please cast your votes, select one of the option that meets your feeling. You do not have to be, 100% expert in the topic, but I believe, you have definitely your opinion that we would be really happy if you can share with us.
Yes, and indeed, Lukas, perhaps just to give a voiceover to allow everyone to vote, that this is a bit of temperature, to what extent insurers have gone beyond financial services, beyond their balance sheets, beyond their technicity, their historic technicity, into actually becoming a player of the automotive ecosystem. So I'm looking forward to see how this is going to come up as all of us have voted. So we have now 23. I think that's already good. And what we can see is, perhaps I give us a small comment, Lukas, if that is okay.
Yep.
It's a bit surprising for me, because perhaps you can show the results.
Yes, Mirka will share it, on the separate screen. I think, those of the people have already voted, they can see the live results themselves, but we need, separately as well showcase the results on a separate slide. So almost 30 people voted. Yeah, these are the results.
Right. So quite amazing that basically the mode is on the second one. Some started to be good, but overall industry progress is slow, which means basically that the brunt of insurers, they're still trying to figure out what is happening, but then some have started to be good. I mean, I mentioned some of the examples of players who are quite advanced in this. And then there are actually some people who say that the industry is fully and completely engaged in auto verticalization with a 4%. So, okay, there's one minority opinion, and then basically there's some who are more probably optimistic about it. But I think that probably the majority, the tip of the Gauss curve is more on rather slow progress, even if some are being good in it. Okay, so that actually makes sense. That makes sense.
Much, Marcus. In the meantime, do we have any further comments from the speakers that they see? Do they relate, to what we see on the screen right now from their perspective? How about you, Anna, Nikki?
Yeah, I'm not looking at it so much from the auto insurance part, but in general, I think there is a lot of untapped potential, and we are not yet utilizing everything there is. And I think it's a two-way, both from the OEMs and from the insurer, that need to come together, work closer to really get to that next level.
Nikki, you want to add something?
I would completely agree with what Anna's just said. I also wonder as well, how different this looks by country as well. Mm-hmm. So are there certain markets where actually there is a lot more progress than others? So I think that's an interesting lens that you could also put over this as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate, your comments. It hasn't been prepared, so thank you so much, for contributing. But right now, let's go to one of the prepared part, because we have, kindly asked our two speakers, Anna and Nikki, to bring some of the real cases that they are doing, in their markets, and some of the thoughts that they're trying to put in place. So let's start with Anna Klarving, as I mentioned, representing CHAP, one of the global leader in insurance. I think we do not have to go more in details, but we would be really happy to hear and very eager, to learn what some of the global leaders are right now doing around the topic. Anna, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to share. So my name is Anna Klarving. I work in Chubb in the regional business development team for EMEA. I worked in insurance for about 20 years and particularly related to partnership distribution. But I must say, I don't think there has been a more exciting time to work in this field as it is now, due to all the opportunities there are with the data, with the connectivity. So I'm very happy to be here and be able to share a little bit our thoughts on this. Yes, next slide, please. I won't go into too much detail about Chubb, but if there are anyone who doesn't know us, just want to highlight that we are a large global insurer present in 54 markets worldwide. And we have, I think we're reaching now about 40,000 employees over the globe. And we are one of the trusted partners for leading brands in various industries and in various regions. So we're happy, and we're happy to be here and also to share a little bit what we're doing. And we also, since we're a global company, we also look at what is happening in different parts of the globe. So in our different regions, North America, Latin America, EMEA, and in APAC. Yes. So looking at the evolution of mobility, the last decade, there has been a tremendous change in the mobility area and also in terms of consumer behavior. There's new players that has entered the field, such as the sharing platforms, ride hailing, parking apps, and it's now basically part of our day-to-day life. And also as we said, as Marcus said, also the traditional industry has undergone and is undergoing large changes related to electric vehicles, autonomous cars, and also I think there's a change on how the traditional players are looking at the market going forward. And of course, all these changes also creates new needs for the customers and our partners. And that's what we can do going forward, looking to see how can we fill these needs that is occurring in the new changing landscape. Yes. So I want to highlight also that Chubb is not an auto insurer per se. We do auto insurance in a few markets, but that's not really our focus. So in most of the markets, we don't have a traditional auto insurance. So we're focusing more on supplemental vehicle products, looking for protection for the driver, financial protection. And what we are doing now is really looking even more and more beyond that, looking at what we call the mover and the user. And this is also something that we see with the OEMs. We work together with some of the large OEMs globally, and coming from a focus on the vehicle, it's also now expanding into other areas, looking more at the customer overall life and movement. So there's a new landscape and an increased focus on that. And for the traditional OEMs, also one of the changes is that there is a request from customers in terms of more flexibility. We're seeing subscription models and other types of solutions, and also that they are expanding their business into other things like parking apps, car hire. So they are also moving into new areas to be part of this new landscape. And with this, of course, for us, what that means is that we also need to be very flexible. It's both in terms of the distribution, and as Marcus mentioned, I mean, the dealer is still the key distribution channel for insurance for the OEMs. But of course, we see more and more that there is a shift towards digital distribution. And in this, it means that we need to be able to also adapt to different distribution models, and basically also at the same time, because it's not going to be one or the other. So we're looking at a phygital solutions, which mean a combination of physical and digital. In terms of product configuration, it's also about enhancing the overall product. So if we're looking at some things that we have done, started off with the driver personal accident, is more moving into a mobility personal accident. So regardless of how the customer is actually transporting, they have this cover, still distributed via the OEMs. And then, of course, we have the connectivity. And in terms of premium, I think that is also a premium structure. I think that's also a very important one, because there's different needs. It can be bundled or embedded, it can be standalone, and depending on how our partners structure their business and their proposition, we also need to have the flexibility to have monthly coverage included in subscription, on demand, pay per use, pay per minute, pay per kilometer. So there's a lot of new ways of building product and solutions for our partners today. And one of the examples of this kind of trend that we see is Nissan in Mexico, where Chubb has recently entered a cooperation together with them. And they are now, so Nissan is looking to provide insurance designed to protect not only the cars, but the whole lifestyle of their customers. And it's an example also of the multi-channel strategy. It's going to be in the My Nissan app. It's going to be on the web. It's going to be via the dealer. So there is really a combination of all the channels. And also a key part in this is actually using data analytics, AI, telematics. So Chubb and Nissan is really joining forces and are working now on building out the proposition for the Nissan customer. Yes, we can go to next slide. So looking at, so that was a little bit relating to the more how the evolvement is of the traditional markets, and also, of course, the new mobility market and the new mobility world, where we see that basically everything is connected. So everything is linked to mobile phones, to various connectivity, different ecosystems. And the beauty about that is that it enables us to actually use mobility data to build customer products for a whole different structure than it's been done in the past. And some of the key features is that it's data driven. So it's really about our partners sharing data with us. And as an insurer, we love data because that enables us to really understand the business and understand the risk. It's also embedded. So looking at integration in our partners' ecosystems via APIs. Contextual is about looking at relevant products, really addressing pain points for the customers. And as I mentioned, the flexible rating and premium structure to really support the partner's way of working and their core offering. One additional quite exciting thing that I just think we've seen the start of is parametric claims. Which means that you don't even need to file a claim. There's data behind so that we can use that to actually instantly make payouts for different type of claims. And looking at all this, I think the core thing in this is that it needs to be developed in co-creation. We cannot kind of design this on our own, and our partner can't really design it on their own either. So it's really about a co-creation, and where we have like a three-step approach, looking at a discovery phase where we share data and gather data that we need. Then it's about a design thinking, looking at what are the jobs to be done, what pain points can we address, and see what are those that are actually insurable. Not everything is, some pain points we can't solve, but looking at what can be done. And then it's articulating the proposition and building basically the technical solution. And as we see, I will go into one example that we have done for Grab in Asia Pacific. So Grab is a super app. They provide ride hailing solutions. They have food delivery. They have digital financial solutions. And we started an engagement with them, and with this kind of model that I just showed, the three-step model, we're looking at what we could propose together with them. In one of the kind of co-creation sessions and design thinking sessions, there was one of the key things that came up as a pain point for the riders was the delay when you ordered a taxi and it was delayed. So based on this information and this pain point, we developed a delay cover, which provides the customer with a $5 voucher when there is a delay over a certain period of time. And this is also an example of parametric claims. So the customer doesn't need to do anything. If there is a delay, the data is in the Grab app, and it will be an instant payment to the Grab account. So today there is over 600 million rides protected with this cover. So it has been a really successful case for us and for Grab. And also I think it's a good case to show what can be done with co-creation with partners and using data in a really good way. Yes. That was it for me. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Anna. Yes, let's wait for if we have any questions from the audience. But what I would propose is in the meantime, go straight to the other poll questions that we have prepared, because people can still use the time. Probably they're hesitating, to ask the questions. So if they are still, formulating or putting together the right questions, we can wait for it. And in the meantime, let's launch the second second poll question, which we have prepared for you. Again, follow the slide button, which is on the top of your screen. And I think, for this second question, Marcus, do you want to take a lead?
Yes, absolutely. So this question actually echoes a lot of things which already have been said, that basically the OEMs and insurers are testing new positions in the value chain. Now, the question obviously is who is going to win out on this? So here we have 4 different answers possible, and please only check one of those. First answer would be that OEMs, they will win out because they control distribution, the customer, vehicle data, so which obviously are good arguments. Second possibility, the insurers win out because they know about underwriting, they have the data on the claims, which the OEMs do not always have, and they also have a balance sheet, very important. Third possibilities, other players like the GAFA, which is the Googles and the others, they're going to win out. And then the last possibility is that everything is going to remain stable. So please vote on those ones. And I see we have 7 answers. So please, everyone, make up your minds. Who's going to win out? OEMs, insurers, the big web players, or basically everything's going to remain stable because everyone does a bit better, and basically you keep a balance.
In the meantime, I think we can use the time from Nikki to Anna. So Anna, can you probably elaborate a bit more, on the collaboration with Nissan in Mexico, if it is, feasible, some more insights that you can share?
Yeah, so it's quite a new, and it's they started actually. I don't know the exact corporate structure of it, but it's a joint initiative called. So it's now Nissan Insurance by Chubb. And it was just launched a little while ago. So I don't have all the details of it yet, and I know that they've already started to launch some products, but I think the most interesting part is what to come, because it's not this is not a short-term engagement. Both companies are invested to really make this shift, but it will take some time to develop all the propositions. So it's just recently started, so I think there is a lot more to come on that one.
Thank you. Sounds exciting.
I would also have a question, Anna. So it's been super interesting what you said. So my question would be, if you're into data, connectedness, analysis, how far are you to becoming a tech player, right? Because you are in insurance, but then I see there's a lot of tech. So on the scale between 0 to 10, how far are you on becoming tech?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's hard to answer to say exactly where we are on the scale. But it's definitely, we see the tech as a super important for our business going forward. So it's really hand in hand. But I think that's also a general thing in insurance, that the tech becomes more important because you need to be able to integrate to use data in a different way. So yeah, but I think we are in some areas we are quite in the forefront on that. So yeah. Okay. But I think if you compare to some of the Googles, and we're not there yet.
Okay, good. And indeed, I mean that's coherent with the answer. So just to give a voice over, 54% think that the OEMs will push further. And indeed, I mean, having the distribution, and obviously they go towards agent models, fully controlled distribution. So that's going to be reinforced. They will have the customer data. They obviously have the vehicle data to a large extent, so I mean, that's a fair guess that they would play an important role. Insurers, 1/3 thinks that they're going to win out. And indeed, I mean, underwriting, carrying the risk is important. And frankly, OEMs don't like doing this because they don't really know about the insurance risk. GAFA, 15%. I think they can definitely take part of the cake. And then I think it's good to see that everyone agrees that the only certainty is that nothing's going to be certain, because things will move somewhere. So I think these results absolutely make sense.
But can I just add it? Because I'm not sure it's going to be necessarily someone wins, someone loses. I think there can also be a win-win in these situations when working close together. So an OEM partnering up with an insurer, I think that can be a win-win situation rather than someone actually losing on it.
Yeah, completely agree on this. And this was a bit the tenet of the presentation, that the question is, you probably need to tweak a bit the role, the value chain, but still you can produce together. I mean, as you explained with Nissan, where actually this co-creation is creating more value, that then you can split up between the both of two. Absolutely makes sense. Okay, Lukas, do you want to go to the next point?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, I had some connection issues. I'm back right now. Let's go to our next speaker. As I mentioned, in the very beginning, we have two wonderful stories to share. And after great insights that we got, from Anna, let's go right now to have a look at the UK market. We have Nikki with us, Nikki Richmond from Churchill, representing as well the Direct Line Group, and we will be really eager as well, to hear some of your insights, especially how you see the future of mobility ecosystem and the role of the insurance there. Nikki, over to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to attend the session today. I think there's been some really good insights shared already and quite a few similar themes to perhaps what I'll touch on here as well. So yes, as was said, I'm Nikki Richmond. I head up the Churchill Experts business, which up until recently has been part of the Direct Line Group. But for those of you that are in the UK market, you may have seen recently that RSA has purchased part of our commercial lines business. So that includes Churchill Expert, or the business that we transact under the Churchill Expert brand. So what is Churchill Expert? So we are a commercial insurance partnerships business, as I said, sitting in the commercial lines part of the business. We distribute insurance from our in-house underwriter, NIG. And since 2019, the team have had a real focus on working with motor organisations to offer insurance solutions to those motor organisations, enabling them to bring new mobility propositions to market. So what I wanted to touch on today was some of our insights into how the motor market is transitioning here in the UK, together with some customer insights and then some examples of the type of propositions that we're working with partners on bringing to market. Okay, so moving on, this absolutely touches on some of the themes that have been discussed earlier in the session. So yes, the motor industry is going through a huge transition today. Clearly, electric vehicles is absolutely a part of that, as is autonomous vehicles. But then you've got connected car, you've also got the changes in distribution, so digital distribution very much coming to the fore, but also the changes in the dealership distribution models going forward, which I think, you know, will be fascinating as that starts to take shape and move forward. In addition, and really where I wanted to focus was the changes in the way that customers are accessing vehicles. So here in the UK, we see a lot of interest from motorists in terms of finding different ways to access vehicles, so moving from pure ownership of a car to different models. So that's really where we as a business have been focused since 2019. We have created a dedicated team who are really focused on working with these partners. So I have commercial partnership managers that are out there talking to motor organisations, and that includes both startups and traditional motor players around how they want to evolve their proposition and how we can support that from an insurance point of view. I then also have proposition development teams who again work with those partners to really bring new propositions to market. And then we have dedicated pricing, underwriters and claims teams that have got real expertise in terms of providing solutions that are right for these partners. So why have we developed this capability? Well, in a survey that we did back in 2022, what was interesting to us was that 44% of the motorists that we actually surveyed actually said that they were keen to explore more flexible ways to access a car. And when you looked at that by generation, actually younger drivers, so as it says here, 18 to 34, were much more interested in considering more flexible ownership models. So, you know, this is definitely a growing, there's growing demand from a customer point of view, and particularly in terms of that younger generation. I think our expectation is that, you know, that will absolutely continue as they get older. What we also found was that in the survey was that there was significant interest not only in more flexible ways to get access to a car, but there was also interest in that for other vehicles as well. So specifically, they were telling us, you know, they were interested in more flexible ways to get access to vans, to motorbikes and mopeds as well. So in terms of what we've done is since 2019, we really started by insuring and providing embedded insurance solutions for car subscription fleets. That was initially with a company called Drover, who were then subsequently purchased by Cazoo. And through the period that Cazoo offered subscription insurance here in, car subscription here in the UK, we were the insurer that sat behind that. So what we've done is we've effectively utilised our fleet policy for this, and we've tweaked that accordingly to be able to really provide an embedded solution that can be part of that subscription price. So enabling the partner to offer one monthly price that covers the car and the insurance. In order to do that, we've worked with our partners to tailor our eligibility, and we've created a bespoke pricing model that actually took on board the best of our experience in terms of both personal lines and commercial lines. So through that period, we have continued to offer these types of solutions. And now work with a company called Drivefuse here in the UK, which is a startup in this space, and also an electric vehicle subscription company, Eazoo, as well. Whilst we've definitely seen players like Cazoo, you know, come and go, what's really interesting is that actually customer demand here in the UK for subscription fleets or subscription propositions absolutely continues. So first of all, yes, subscription. And as I said, we continue to see strong demand with more organisations coming and speaking to us, both startup organisations, as I mentioned, with Drivefuse, but also more traditional insurance motor organisations as well. So in addition to car subscription, this year we have just launched a new partnership with an electric vehicle leasing company, Drive Electric, here in the UK. And this actually is our first foray into salary sacrifice. So again, for them, we have really tailored the model further to again provide an embedded insurance offering as part of the salary sacrifice scheme that that Drive Electric offer. Here in the UK, the government has introduced a number of tax breaks that are in place for vehicles or for employers that have company-owned vehicles that they then effectively provide to their employees in return for payment taken from the employee's salary prior to tax. So this is a really, really cost-efficient way for employees of organisations to get access and you know start to use an EV. So it's really seen as an important element in supporting UK motorists in the transition to EVs. The corporate space is definitely where it's started. So corporates were definitely quicker to take up these types of schemes and offer these to their employees. But what we're now seeing is that there's also strong demand from SME businesses who are also looking to introduce these salary sacrifice schemes. Last year, again, in another survey that we did, we saw that 56% of SME businesses were interested in launching salary sacrifice schemes to their employees in the next 12 months. And what was also really interesting to us was that actually when you spoke to the employees, they also said that if their employer offered these types of salary sacrifice schemes, they would view that as a more positive reflection of their employer. And actually 17% of those that we spoke to said that they would consider switching their employment to a company that offered these types of schemes. So as you can see, you know, there's real demand for it, both from an employer perspective, but also an employee perspective as well. So as I said, we've very much tailored our proposition to be able to provide an embedded insurance offering for salary sacrifice schemes and platforms. And, you know, again, it's an area that we're seeing a lot of demand from partners to work with us on this. So we're really excited about this new partnership with Drive Electric, and then to see how that, you know, continues to evolve moving forward. So that's salary sacrifice. And then the other real key area in the UK is that car sharing, post-pandemic car sharing, interest in car sharing is growing as well. So as you can see here, Google searches for car sharing in London increased by 44% in 2022. For Churchill Expert then, our view was that this was something that we wanted to start to test and learn about, because really we see that car sharing, as autonomous vehicles become more prevalent in future years, that we expect that car sharing will continue to grow. So this was something that we really wanted to start to learn about as an insurer. So this year we've actually begun to, as a test and learn, to work with a partner, Zoom EV, on creating a model that could be used and tested with a peer-to-peer car sharing platform. It's very much early days, but what was really great was that it forced us to really start to get to grips with understanding, you know, the different elements that come into effect for car sharing and peer-to-peer car sharing specifically. In particular, how do we determine who is responsible for the vehicle at any point in time, so that we understand, you know, who was effectively in charge of the vehicle should an accident occur. So that's something that, you know, it was very interesting going through that process with our claims team and really working that through. So this is something that we definitely see has given us great insight for the future, and really enabling us to continue to evolve our capabilities. All of these mobility solutions are really also supporting EV growth. So what we, again, when we talk to motorists out there, we definitely saw that there was a desire for this more flexibility, because of the fact that it enabled them to test out the infrastructure for EVs, the range for EVs, potentially update their car more frequently, so enabling them to try out different types of EVs, and also gave them a really cost-effective solution that would help them avoid any depreciation that happened as you know, the tech became more prevalent in the UK. So all of these are really, you know, we see as a key way of helping more people get into an EV, which is something that we're very passionate about as an organisation. In addition, by ensuring these types of propositions and the EVs within these types of propositions, it's really giving us a really solid foundation to help us understand, you know, the impact of the new technologies. So acceleration within EVs, regenerative braking, the in-car tech, the impact of the fact that, you know, people have just had less experience of driving EVs and what that does to the claims experience, the impact of the vehicle weight and the positioning of batteries. So we know that, you know, these vehicles, because of the position of the batteries, are lower gravity vehicles, so therefore less likely to roll, but actually they're heavier vehicles. So is that going to have any impact on bodily injury, for example? And then finally, we're obviously also learning about repairing EVs as well. So quarantine requirements, battery health, potential for battery recycling, and then perhaps, you know, key, what are the capabilities and skill sets that we need to be developing within our technicians, our vehicle technicians, to ensure that going forward we can repair EVs at scale. So certainly, you know, for us, this focus around mobility solutions and providing that embedded insurance solution not only means that we're capitalizing on strong customer demand, but also it enables us to continue to learn and you know, for the future, really. So finally, you know, where we've got to as an organization is that we absolutely see that working with partners to develop our insurance offering is really critical for us as we move forward into the future. We're getting that vital experience that we need, and also we are, you know, evolving our proposition to really ensure that we can meet our partners' needs. And as it says here, really our focus is all around providing our partners and their end customers with flexible, tailored insurance solutions that are simple and flexible. So that was everything that I wanted to cover today. Is there any questions?
Fantastic, Nikki. Thank you so much for all the insights, you know, being shared. I believe, you know, both of the presentations will get back to both of you and Anna to see, you know, what we can share with all the participants. But I believe, you know, that the majority of the insights they will be able to follow up. So again, you know, in the meantime, if we have any questions from the audience, we can, in the meantime, launch the third poll question that we have prepared. I think, again, you know, one of the very interesting way of how we can encourage people to either ask questions or be more active at the session itself. So Marcus, you want to take a lead as well on this one?
Yeah, I can give a voiceover of the question. So obviously this is again, how can insurers play together with OEMs and by the way also other players in the value chain. So which would be the key capabilities that insurers will need to leverage to become interesting in partnerships with OEMs? So you can now select 3 options from the list below, and the options are balance sheet, risk underwriting capabilities, management of contracts and claims, customer journey, and flexible digital IT systems. So those are the different possibilities. The question is, what you need to have today in order to be attractive for OEMs and other channel partners? Is it the balance sheet, risk underwriting, management of contracts and claims, customer journey, or flexible digital IT systems? And I think you can actually check 3 and they should become 1 to 3. So I think you need to check them in the right order if I see correctly. Okay, so I'm seeing that the counter increases. Okay, I think we can start perhaps showing Mirka the results on the screen. Oh, I haven't done send on mine, so. Okay. Do we have enough answers? Mirka, can you put them up? Yeah, so basically here, yes. So what's interesting is, and we had a similar session in financing, and in financing, actually the balance sheet was also last. So, which is, I think, interesting and amazing that basically what was the key of traditional financial services is now actually, I mean, it's still important, obviously, right? But it's not top of the mind, probably because it's considered solved, right? But basically the first now is the customer journey, onboarding, decisioning, dynamic pricing, flexible digital IT systems, and I think also Anna, in your work with the OEMs and Nikki, probably that is something which is super important, that you can actually interface with them. And then obviously risk underwriting that remains, those are the top ones, and then management of contracts and the balance sheet a bit at the end. So very interesting result from this poll, and actually a clear sign that the temperature of transformation has increased considerably in the last years. Back to you, Lukasz.
Thank you so much, Markus. Very interesting, especially to right now engage people for discussion. And I think we have prepared as well 3 topics that we want to probably still use our speakers that we have here online, both Anna and Nikki. So from the perspective of the partnerships, which are right now happening in this space, do you prefer, or at least because we are right now covering as well, one of the topic is embedded insurance, which is quite growing a lot. From your perspective, do you prefer always to find a partner or to find a solution provider who can bring on board along with the solution to distribute your products, that they have a customers on board, or do they have already a client base to interact with? Or do you rather, just plug in the ready-to-use solution, which you can provide to your own customers?
Certainly for ourselves, Lucas, the partners that we're working with, it's really very much collaborative effort. Some of them are, starting out in terms of creating new subscription or salary sacrifice propositions, and therefore we're very much working with them to shape or to obviously share our expertise in terms of the insurance, but really working with them to understand their needs, understand their target market, and then work out what the appropriate insurance offering is that sits as part of that offering. So we definitely, it's more of that collaborative effort. Sometimes we'll have partners coming to us that perhaps are already operating in that space, and it's more than a lift and shift across to our model. But quite often, and certainly to date, it's very much been that sort of collaborative co-creation in terms of the proposition, and then yes, launching it, but then continuing to work together to evolve that as well. And that's certainly something that I'm really passionate about, is making sure that it's not just a once and done. It is that a evolution as we learn more about their end customers and what they're looking for, and as we learn more on the insurance side in terms of the risk of that profile of that customer base, really.
Yeah, I can just echo that. I fully agree, and I think that's our approach as well. It's the partnership that makes the solution, and it's not a one size fits all. So it's about, and especially if we're talking about a changing landscape, you can't really come with a ready solution because the landscape is changing all the time. So it's about being part of the landscape and being there with our partners to drive the change as well.
And I can perhaps support this from our client work, that the old times you would come to your partner and say, what do you want? And that worked, right? But the problem is today, no one knows what they want, because it's new for everyone. So this is why actually you need to sit down, and you need not only to think about how you yourself do your business, but you also need to think about how your partner needs to change his way of business in order for both of you to work together in a way that's attractive for the customer. So things have become much more complicated and much more open in terms of degrees of freedom, which is both exciting, but which makes things more complicated as well.
Yeah.
In terms of because there were a couple of other issues, or a couple of the other topics we've outlined with Markus, what do you believe, Nikki and Anna, are the key strengths to succeed in the future, especially for the incumbent players that exist in the market for quite a long time, especially when we see, as being mentioned earlier, that we have right now not just the fintechs and the new techs approaching the markets, but a couple of the big techs taking as well a stake very quickly.
Yeah, I think, they are very on this, of course, and they are huge players as well, the traditional OEMs. So they have a lot of muscle, And I think that they are testing now different new solutions. They are entering into kind of the new mobility landscape. So I think that I definitely think that that's what they need to do. They need to be part of that and not only focus on their, as they might have done before, the core, but also looking at these other areas around the core business.
Completely agree. I think as well, you know, obviously you mentioned the whole ecosystem piece up front. And I think that's a particularly interesting space as we move forward in terms of, you know, the broader ecosystem, not only from an OEM point of view, but also from an insurer point of view as well.
Very good. Any other topics, Marcus, that you have in mind that you want to actually to cover for today?
I think one thing which I would be very interested in is what both of our speakers think about artificial intelligence. Because I mean, you guys have been working forever with data now. Is everything, are the new capabilities of artificial intelligence, I mean, the step up in terms of what they can actually do, is that something which is actually for you part of what you treated always, or is something, a new wave coming towards you?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely something that it's not something that we've been working a lot with in the past. So, but it is something that is integrated now in what we do. So I think we'd only just started to scratch the surface of what that actually will mean for us as an insurer, but just in general for the world. So yeah, it's in early stages still, I would say.
Okay, Nikki, you have a...
Yeah, I completely agree with Anna again. I think it's very much early days. I think you know, clearly I think clearly there's many different opportunities that insurers could be looking at going forward in terms of the utilization of artificial intelligence. But I think you know, it's very much early stages at this moment, and there's a lot to learn really, and a lot to consider as well.
Okay. Good, great. I don't know, Lukas, you any questions from the audience?
Still checking, but I think, you know, people are already getting ready for Christmas. I think, you know, it's time to
I should be getting ready too. I'm already late, but
it's time, you know, to check the last offers of the Black Friday, because might still be the case. No, anyway, I think it was fantastic insight. Thank you so much, you know, all three of you, Anna, Nikki, and obviously, you know, Marcus as well. We are really pleased, you know, that we could actually organize, you know, still the session right before the year end, or very close, you know, to December, because obviously we understand that many of the organizations already have minds, you know, completely in a different level right now set for 2024. We really hope, you know, that some of the inputs that you were sharing were really inspiration for a great inspiration for our audience, and they will try, you know, to build on that. As usually, you know, we are more than happy to engage all of the people that were there online for our online event today, through our community website right now. Check the QR code, go online, you know, check what are the upcoming events. We are right now preparing an exciting plan, obviously, for the first half of 2024. You are all more than welcome to participate, join, register, or even share your preferences, yeah, in terms of topics. Let us know which topics you would like to see mobility community to be handling very soon. Because, you know, we try to create community with the community of all of you, of the bankers and insurers for you. And I think, you know, that's the main spirit. We would like to build something meaningful, and obviously with the key institution and people that are already engaged. Good. I think that's it, you know, from today, from our side. Really excited that this session is not only taking place live, but most of the parts are as well available as a recorded session for all the members and all the people interested. Feel free to get in touch with us. Happy to answer further questions. Or on top of it, I think, you know, our speakers, not just from this session, but as well from all the previous session, are eager to get a one-to-one chat with any of the organization. to exchange, best practices and go more in depth in a couple of the cases that you would be interested in. That's what we try to create, a collaboration between members that goes beyond just a one-stop shop, let's say, or one online event that you attended just right now. Once again, a huge thanks, to our speakers today. Anna, for your time and as well, insights that you were presenting on behalf of CHAP. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Same to Nikki. We were in touch, already since September to find the right fit of the event where you can, present. So really appreciate that this was the time and the value that you were able to bring to us.
Pleasure. Thanks, Lucas, for the invite.
And last but not least, thanks to Marcus as well. Together, as I mentioned, with CVA, we are here always to help, to support, and to create further interesting topics for all of you. Thank you for joining us today, and keep in touch for 2024. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.